Kicking It with Steve and Stacy. And we're so happy to be here tonight.
Yes, we
And
are.
we welcome all of you to tune in and listen to us, watch us, because tonight the topic is going to be off the chain. What do you think, Steve?
Good evening, everybody. And the topic for me is taking control of your life. If you're not in control of your life, it's time that you began. And I'm sure everybody wants control, but few of us have it. So, one of the topics we'll discuss today is how to take control of your life. And we'll go through step by step sequences and help you out.
Okay, so you said taking control of your life.
Yes.
Let's elaborate on that just a second.
Okay.
Taking control of your life.
How many people do you know, or how many listeners do you think actually have control of their lives? Most of us, sadly, far too many of us anyway, work paycheck from paycheck.
True.
You work all week, have the weekend, do a little partying, maybe drinking, have a good time, unwind, and then you're back into the cycle. Few people have all the things that they want. Few people feel like they have their stuff together. And so that's what we want to help you do, to get the things that you want most and to get your stuff together.
Yeah, exactly. And, I feel like that's one of the reasons why, I just love Coach Stacy. Because Coach Stacy is just like from lived experience. But at the end of the day, when I'm talking to a potential client, I always say, let me help you help yourself.
That's right.
Because you have the content, I don't. You know exactly what's wrong with you. You know exactly when it went wrong. So let me help you help yourself. But the first question I want to ask you is, when did it start? And people, they'll look at me like, and I'm like, no, really, when did it start? And then, some I've had people say, um, well, my boyfriend started hitting me. And I'm like, no, when did it really start? So now they're taken aback. They're just like, huh? I'm like,
Right. What do
yeah,
you mean?
yeah. When did it start? When did these issues first start in your life? And then, some people, they immediately start crying because they know when it started.
Yes.
Some people get silent. And some people are just like, it started when I was a little girl and my daddy started touching me. And I'm like, booyah, now we can get started. Because I don't know, how to help you if you can't tell me where it started. Because my philosophy is let me help you help yourself. So I'm going to help you with the tools and the coping skills and the delving deep down into that dark abyss. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like every time I ever had any type of real good therapy, they always had me do history and do an autobiography.
Okay.
So I learned how to, when did it start on myself? You know what I'm,
Right. Yeah. Well, now I don't have a history in psychology. I did go to school for it. I on my bachelor's, I majored in psychology, basically child psychology, but I didn't finish. And so I'd have to refer to my brother or ask questions because what I've learned and how I can help is to have everyone listening to take a pencil and a piece of paper and let's start getting down. Let's write some stuff out. You know, the first thing is, what do you want? That's the first thing. What specifically is it that you want? Is it peace of mind? Is it a relationship? Is it love? What is it? Is it a better job? Do you want to be rich? Everyone has desires. So what is it that you want? So for those of you who are willing to participate, I want you to take a piece of paper and a pencil.
let me get my paper out.
There you go. Or an ink pen. And Number one, what is it that you want? And write that down. And I would actually put a line maybe down the middle of the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And on one side, you write down what you want. On the other side, I want you to write down, keep this a secret. Because people will hear what you want. And if they don't want the same thing for you, they're going to say something negative. They're going to cause you to doubt yourself. And if disbelief comes and doubt comes in, you're probably not going to succeed. So write down what you want. And
Speak.
yes. And adjacent to that, or right next to that, write down, I'm not going to tell anyone. This is my secret. That's the first thing.
That's really important
It is.
because I believe in journaling.
Yes.
I got like 20 journals at the house right now, just blank journals, and I like to give them to my friends because journaling helped me so much. So I believe in doing exactly what you're instructing us to do.
Yeah.
Write it down because people don't realize that if you put it on paper, that's huge.
Yes.
These are just thoughts, that you've had in the back of your mind. But when you put it on paper, it's like that's the reality of it.
That's right. It becomes a formula then, a
Definitely.
document. And you can refer to it. And oftentimes, if you don't write it down, you will forget. Life's problems will rise. You forgot about it by the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So if you write it down, you're going to remember it. And what I want you to do, what I would like for you to do, and what it's suggested that you do, is read it in the morning, noon, and night, every day. Before you go to bed, read what it is that you want and try to go to sleep on that thought. That's the first thing. So, we can't see, if I said raise hands for all of you who are going to participate, I'd love to see hands, but being that we can't, I want to trust you to do so. And if you don't do it now, you can always watch this again. Take the time, pull out that paper, and begin. Because if, as Stacy just said, if it's not written down, it's just a wish. It's a whim. And when the wind blows, it's gone. But if you write it down, it becomes real. It becomes a goal, something that you can achieve. And we're going to help you from A to Z because our goal is to help people.
Period.
So you're watching Kicking It with Steve and Stacy, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.
And so tonight, we're going to open up the phone lines right now. So you can call us at 313-355-6018. We want your input. We want your ideas. We want you to talk about the topic that we're talking about tonight. You can even give us suggestions on topics that you want us to discuss on another day. But the phone lines are open, and you can call in at 313-355-6018.
Yes. Now, I know that this works because I've done it.
Oh, you know it works because you worked it.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, I'm 18, and I basically wake up in the Michigan Reformatory. I've got a life sentence. They said I have the IQ of a genius, but I don't feel very smart.
You were Mensa eligible.
So what did I do? For 5 years, all I did was read self-help books, psychology books, because I wanted to understand how I, the son of a preacher, two square folks doing the right things, how I could end up in prison while my brother's going on to school. And like I said, being voted outstanding young man of America. He's got his associates, bachelor's, master's, PhD, you name it. So for 5 long years, or 5 straight years, I read because I had to understand what in the hell went wrong in my life, you know. And so the very first book I read was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And when I saw it, I thought it was a book that just helped you get rich, you know. And I'm 18, and of course I wanted to be rich like everyone else. So I picked the book up and I began reading. And I was blown away because instead of finding out how to get rich, it's showing you how to do anything. Anything that you want done, you can do.
Anything.
Anything. Anything you want to be, you can be. But there are laws and rules that you have to follow. And so I began learning those rules and those laws. The second book I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I'm amazed because in these books, I saw myself. All of the qualities and characteristics that they said the rich have, the successful have, were innate. I'm talking about maybe it was because of the formative years that my dad and my mom taught us all the right things. They were great parents. But I'm in this spot, in this cell, reading these books, and I'm seeing myself on the pages. And it was an indescribable feeling. It was incredible. Because I knew then that even though I had committed acts and crimes that put me there and I deserved to be there, this was not my home. This was not my final resting place. And so, years later, after 41 years in hell, I'm released, and I employ these techniques, doing just fine, and my message is that so can you.
Period.
Right. So if you're a single mom, single dad, you're strung out right now, it doesn't matter. If you really want to change, if you really want to take control of your life and get your stuff together, now's the time.
So I have to backtrack a minute because when you said the very first book you read was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, oh my God. That's like one of my favorite books, one of my favorite authors. But I'm going to tell you, it was a point in that book when they were talking about the Carnegies and the Mellons and the Vanderbilts. I was like, whoa. Henry Ford was in a courtroom and the judge was questioning him.
Ridiculing him.
Ridiculing is right. I was just trying to be diplomatic and nice. But I remember at one point he asked Mr. Ford, how do you know all of this? How could you possibly know all of this? And I guess Mr. Ford was getting a little, you know what I'm saying, tight. And he told him, he said, look, Your Honor, I have a desk. And I have buttons on my desk. And whatever I want to know, the person is doing the painting, the person is doing the engine work, my secretary, is called delegation. I don't need to know all of this because I know that a smart man knows how to delegate duties.
That's right.
Because there's no way, as the president and CEO of a company, I can know all of these different things. When I read that, I was like, whoa. Because do you know how many people are afraid to let go? You know how many people are afraid to relinquish some of that power?
Yes.
You cannot know everything. You cannot be everything. You just can't. It's just virtually impossible. You have to trust somebody enough to delegate those duties. Yeah. And that's the bottom line. But as soon as you said, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I got to speak
I remember
on this.
that story.
Yes.
Yes. And they were ridiculing him for being uneducated.
Period.
That was the theme.
Yes.
So they're saying, you're an uneducated man, and how can you do this and how can you do that? And that's when he told him about this intercom or this box with all these rows of buttons.
Yes.
And if I need to know something, I just push the right button. You know, and I was like, wow.
And you know what's something else? This is not, I got to go off subject a little bit, but that just puts me in the mind of, if you got these different buttons with these different people, and they know what this is, that's almost like your circle.
Yes.
You got to keep your circle tight and you got to keep your circle right. Because I'm going to tell you something. If we in a boat, I want everybody to be rowing that paddle. I don't want the few in the back to be drilling holes in the boat.
That's right.
And so many times that happens. But when that does happen, because it's definitely going to happen, especially if you got the juice. But what we got to do is we have to get a sense of discernment and peep it out. Because with me, I'm the type of person, I just love everybody. You know what I'm saying? I want everybody to grow. I want everybody. But even me, sometimes I have to be like, you know what? That sister is not for you, Stacy. And you need to walk away. But like Joel Osteen says, don't just walk away in anger. Don't get pissed off. Don't walk away cussing and fussing, trying to be vengeful. What you do is you smile. First of all, you got to pray. You know what I'm saying? There I go with that note. Okay, so that's something I gotta bring that up later on. But anyways, you have to walk away in peace. You gotta pray. And you gotta ask God to guide your steps, guide your thoughts, and guide your tongue. But you really gotta walk away in peace because you might be pissed. This person may have done something really foul. You know what I'm saying? But you got to think about it. And you got to walk away in peace. And when you walk away in peace, I really want you to wish them the best.
Yes.
But don't do it in a facetious manner.
No.
Wish them the best for real. Because guess what? God don't need no help.
And that's the right thing to do.
It is the right thing to do.
Right.
But I didn't always do the right thing. Because when I say I was the most vengeful chick out there, oh my God. If you did something to me, I want to get you back, and I want you to know I got you back. You know, some people are like, oh, I'm going to get her back, but I don't want her to know. No, I want you to know that I got you back. Okay. And that's how I lived. And sometimes when I think about it, I think about how much time I wasted. You know what I'm saying? Because when here I go with that, you know what I'm saying again.
Now, picking up on doing things right. As I'm going through this first 5-year period, I doodle. I take a pen and I take a pad and I doodle. I take words and I break them down to find out what they mean to me, you know. And so I took the word live, right? And I want you, everyone who's got that piece of paper and that pencil, I want you to do the same thing. Write out the word live, L-I-V-E. And underneath it, write an arrow that points to the right. An arrow pointing in the right direction under the word live. That's the premise, all right? Now, if you live right and you do right and your energy flows in the right direction.
Oh, yes, that energy.
You're doing what you know is the correct thing. Now, I don't know how many people out there actually try this, but have you ever tried in a 24-hour stretch to just do right? Whatever it is that you're thinking, that's the right thing to do. Do it, right? And if you do, doors are going to open up for you.
Yes.
Serendipity is going to happen. Now, the funny thing was, when I turned it around, I flipped it, and I spelled it backwards. And that means you're not going in the right direction. You're now going in the wrong direction. And what do you get? You turn those same words around, and you get the word E, V, I, and L.
That's deep. I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah. If you live right and you walk in the right direction, you do the right things, life is beautiful.
Life, yeah.
It may not be perfect. You may not have everything. You're still going to have adversity. There's still going to be trauma. But if you walk in the right direction, if you act right, you do right, you speak right,
your life is going to be right.
Life becomes beautiful because we attract that which we are and that which we do.
Yes, definitely.
Right? You turn it around and you have a word that says evil. And I was like, I'm a kid. I'm 19, 20 years old, and I'm like, wow, this is a revelation. Nobody's ever shared this with me before. I'm doodling, and I find this, and I'm like, okay, this is deep. I take it a step further. If you've lived your entire life, Lived, you've lived a great life. People are going to remember you. They're going to say wonderful things at your funeral. He was an awesome guy. You turn that same word around, and you've lived, past tense, your whole life going in the opposite direction.
Right.
You have the word devil. And I'm like, all my life, I've rejected religion, and, if I didn't tell you earlier, I was a miracle baby, right? My mom's water or amniotic sac broke so early in her pregnancy that I was pronounced dead. Doctors, specialists, they all came in. They ran a battery of tests, and the diagnosis was that I was gone.
Right.
And that when I did come out, I would come out limb by limb, an arm, a leg, the torso, my head, in no specific order. Well, my dad, who was a minister at the time, ran out of the hospital, grabbed the priest from somewhere. They made it back, held a prayer vigil at my mother's bedside, right? And after they had prayed for quite a while, they felt that their prayers had been answered. They stood up, and the priest made a prophecy. He said that I would cause my mother to shed a river of tears, that as a youth I would be like the devil himself, but that eventually I would grow up, mature, become her best child, and a minister. And I tell you, I have always fought against that. I've never in my life wanted to get up on any podium or pulpit and preach. So I've rejected it out of hand. So for me to sit here and share with you these things that I found just doodling is kind of funny to me, because it's like I'm talking about live and living right, and if you don't, you're doing evil. But I'm not saying this to say it in a religious sense. I'm just saying I'm playing with these words, and this is what I found.
Right.
So I want everyone listening to also attempt, at least for one day, to just do the right thing. Do what's right, no matter what you feel it's going to cost you. Do the right thing.
And that's not too hard.
No. You wake up and there's an urge to exercise. That apparently is the right thing. If you don't do it, that's on you. If you know you need to stretch. Do the right thing. If you see someone struggling, they're on the corner, look like they don't have anything, and you've got a couple extra bucks in your pocket, do the right thing. Share your good fortune with someone else, not because you think it's going to pay you back later on down the line. You're just paying it forward. And so I just wanted to share that little tidbit, because
it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
I'm sure you've made a lot of people this evening definitely think about what you just said. But what you just said about sharing, I would like to bring to everybody's attention that Kicking It with Steve and Stacy will be holding a drive. Because what we want, one of our first projects, what we want to do is we want to help clothe the homeless for this winter season. Because I'm telling you, sometimes when I go downtown and I see the homeless people bundled up in a blanket or a sleeping bag, and they're like on one of those steel grates with the steam coming out. I'm just blown away all the time. So what we would like to do is we would like to collect blankets, socks, gloves, hats, coats. These items don't even need to be new. You know what I'm saying? Go in your storage and just get some items that are gently used. Just, make sure they're washed. But we would like to collect these items so we can distribute them to the homeless people in both Detroit and Flint.
And I've got about 4 or 5 boxes. Just, when you move, you find out and realize that you've got too much stuff.
Definitely. And me and my husband, we always donate to my brother's keeper in Flint. So we were just going through the garage, and he has like bags and bags. It has to be like at least 20 or 30 sweaters, and then it's like, how you like I like V-neck white t-shirts, and I probably got like 25 that are, still in good condition. They might have a little hole here, a little hole there. But, I just feel like, after I wore you for like 6 months to a year, I just want something new. But I got like 25, maybe even 30 V-neck t-shirts in a size extra large, but we want to collect socks because, a lot of times homeless people need socks. So we're collecting socks, gloves, mittens, scarves, hats, jackets, coats, gently used, anything that you would like to donate. We will definitely be collecting that. So we're starting now, and today is November 8th.
November the 8th.
Yeah, we'll probably do it for like maybe 6 weeks.
Okay.
So,
right up near Christmas time.
Definitely like around Christmas time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be really sweet.
Yes.
So right now, our phone number is 313-355-6018. Callers, feel free to call in tonight. We're waiting on your calls. And you're watching Kicking It with Steve and Stacy live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. So like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ, Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.
Absolutely. Now, getting back to writing and taking control of your life. When you read these statements that you wrote, or better, even before reading them, when you write them down, write them in the present tense, right? Not that I want to be a supervisor on the job, but that I am a supervisor on the job.
Period.
And you read it in the morning, you read it at noon, you read it at night. But you read it with feeling. It must be felt in order to become real. They've got this thing, and again, I find most of this out through reading over the years. But whatever you feed the subconscious is going to be born. It's like planting seeds. Whatever seeds you plant are going to take root there. They're going to germinate, and they're going to grow. But only if you do this with feeling. If you read it, you must believe it. And case in point, I'm a kid, 6, 7 years old. And for the strangest reason, I started saying, when I'm 24, I'm going to be rich. When I'm 24, I'm going to be rich.
You were manifesting back then.
I didn't know what I was doing, but 24 was my magic number. And I convinced myself that when I'm turned 24, I'm going to be rich. So imagine, at 18, I'm in prison serving a life sentence, right? I'm 23 and a half, about to turn 24. And there is not one iota of doubt in my mind that I'm about to go home, because I'm equating that with being rich.
Right.
I'm like, I must be about to go back to court.